Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode. We out here today in the gas farm storage area, and obviously as you should remember from the last episode, and if you haven't checked that one out already, obviously make sure you go do. We did a little bit of AFKing at the gas farm. Nothing crazy, just about 6 or 7 hours, and I thought, this would be a good idea just to get a kind of a rough idea of how much gas tiers we're going to get, how much gunpowder we're going to get. And honestly, I wasn't expecting a huge amount of return during this short AFK time. I call it short, but obviously I generally tend to AFK at farms quite a few times. So I came back here, I thought I'd have a quick look and see what results that we had, and well, for gunpowder, I don't think we're going to be having too many issues with gunpowder anytime soon. In fact, this is actually some more gunpowder. So the barrel was actually full, and so was the hopper behind it, and I think the hopper behind that as well. So gunpowder wise, we're looking pretty good. It's a shame we can't compress gunpowder down into a block or something, because it'd be easier to travel with, but I think we're going to have gunpowder for a good amount of time. I was running quite low for rockets and stuff anyway, so this is pretty good. I'm going to have enough to get the rocket supply back up again. I'm going to need to make some TNT soon, as I want to go blast the desert into little pieces so I can grab some more sand. So this is good. We're going to have enough of that ready to go. And in terms of gas tiers, not as fruitful as the gunpowder, which I expected, to be fair. But to be honest with you, this is probably going to be all the gas tiers I'm ever going to need for all of my projects. You see, some of the plans is going to be obviously, well, this gas tier is twofold. It's number one is to refight the Ender Dragon 11 times. No, wait. How many times can you fight the Ender Dragon again to open up all the portals? I think there's 20 portals in general, right? And obviously I don't want to fight the Ender Dragon after that anymore anyway. So we're going to fight it 20 more times or 19 more times. So we've got enough of that, because it does, I think you only need like 19 gas tiers, which is a bit of a lame, crafting method for the end crystals, but that's fine. The rest of it is going to be used towards regeneration potions, which who knows how many of those we're going to need. But it's nice that we've got all of it now. We've done enough AFKing here. And actually, this is probably a really good supplement for my gunpowder. I don't know if I'm going to actually end up building a creeper farm anytime soon. I've got a bit more of a funky idea for a creeper farm, so maybe it won't be so much for the gunpowder, so I can save that for later on. But as far as gunpowder is concerned, for 7 hours AFKing, I'm pretty happy with that. So as far as gas tier farm goes, I think this was a good venture. Oops. This was a good venture, and oh, that roof still looks a bit rough. I'm gonna need to repair that roof still. But as far as this is concerned, this is a good project done, and I think now we can actually move on to step 2. So obviously, like I mentioned to you guys last time, this is part of a multi-part episode of where we're gonna be kind of working towards a big brewing station. And I'm going to be needing a whole bunch of different ingredients and stuff, and gas tier was one of them. And one of the other things that we're really going to be needing for brewing is going to be is brown mushrooms. Now, brown mushrooms are actually pretty easy to get. You can kind of just grow them, give them an old swipe with a fortune axe, and pretty much call it a day, right? But actually, there's something else that I need from the mushroom itself, which kind of gave me an idea for a little farm that might work in both ways. Every time I look at this, I still think about how glorious it is. Obviously, it's pretty ugly and doesn't really do anything, but isn't it glorious? Have a look at it, guys. Enjoy it. Probably never see it again now. We've made the most use of it at this point, and I've gone ahead and collected pretty much all the gunpowder and gas tiers we'll see. So as far as you guys are concerned, you'll probably never see it again, but hey, you never know. So again, as I mentioned, the plan today is to start working a little bit on the mushroom farm. So as I mentioned, in addition to needing the brown mushrooms themselves, I also need the stem that comes with it. I thought this would be a good opportunity to get my hands stuck in a little brown mushroom farm where I can work on both the mushroom itself, or the brown mushrooms themselves, and also the stems themselves as well. So you're probably wondering, what do I need stems for, right? And again, grow a mushroom, chop it down with a silk touch axe, and call it a day. Stop wasting your time building weird, pointless farms. If you said that, really, you're in the wrong place, my friend. Building pointless farms is what I do. So anyway, before we get started on pointless farms and things that we're going to be taking care of this episode, let's give you a quick rundown and recap of what's been going on around the world other than that. So as far as the Nether Hub is concerned, these coming along pretty well. I've got some adjustments I need to make on like how I've done the backdrop here, because I've realized I was being a bit lazy. I didn't really want to push it back all the way, and then kind of just half-assed. Like, it's mostly this section, to be honest with you, but I'm going to take care of that and kind of push it back, because when you turn the shaders off, it looks kind of ugly, so it's not all that good. So we'll take care of that later on. But some of the work that I've been doing, it was actually something I did on a live stream a little while ago, and it was working on the Basalt Delta section of our little Nether Hub here. And actually, the Basalt Deltas is kind of becoming some of my favorite part of this Nether Hub here. And the reason for that is mainly because the Basalt Deltas has quite a lot going on with it in general. Anyway, when you add some stuff in from the Basalt Deltas, it does look really nice. So I think it's kind of a nice little addition to this little Nether Hub here. And you can also see that I've added in some small magma cubes. There's quite a few of them around, so there's a couple there. There's another one right there for you guys. And one there, one there, one there. So this is looking all good. I really like this little bit of weirdness with joining of the Basalt Deltas. Let me see if I can get into a better height. You can see the Basalt Delta on that side kind of fades in too much to the to that part of the biome there, so maybe I'll need to either do a better blend or push some of this backwards again so it's a bit more kind of in the center of it. But other than that, I think this place is looking pretty good. You can see in some cases I put carpet down to match the color of the biome, where I can put lighting to stop some mobs from spawning. But honestly speaking, it hasn't really made a huge difference at this point. I still get quite a few mob spawns at this point. But yeah, everything else is looking really good. So that was a quick update on this side, and I want to go back into the overworld so we can have a little look at why these stems are going to come in handy. So as you guys have already probably seen, I was working on the mushrooms that I planted around the island, and last episode I was building mushrooms basically that all looked like this, and they were cool, they were nice. It was nice adding variations. Obviously I added these little patches and stuff, and that was all great. But I think even these mushrooms, they look okay, but I didn't like them all that much, really. So I've gone around and I've started adding a few more variations of ones that look, you know, not too far from there. For example, we've got a couple more added to the whole situation as well. So you guys already knew about these ones, hopefully. These are the smaller ones that kind of pop around. Then I've got some slightly larger ones like this, which I think this is one that I saw from Good Times with Scar, and I thought it looked really nice. So I was like, this is a really good one to add in here. So I've added one of these, and then we've also got ones like this, very similar to the other one, just not with the chunkier section here, mostly just the top half. And I think adding just a couple more variations to stuff looks really good. And yeah, I think these are looking a lot better, and it kind of makes the whole place come alive a little bit more. But the issue is that as I was building one of these, I realized I didn't have enough white stems available. And yeah, so then obviously I came with the idea: brown mushroom farm, stem farm. Let's get a little something going so we can finally get everything sorted. I also want to make the stems a little bit more funkier shaped, with like L's shapes, and having them kind of bend around a little bit, make them look a little bit more like real life mushrooms. But in order to do any of that, I'm going to need more white stems. So I think it's best what we're going to do. We're going to pop into the creative test world. I want to show you what I've come up with, and yeah, hopefully we can start building this thing. Oh, also, quick side note, I've been working on the interior of this room as well, and I've made some changes around here because the interior, as much as it was looking okay before, it was looking kind of empty and boring, and I thought maybe adding some more texture in here would kind of bring it alive a little bit more. And actually, I think this room is looking a lot better now. I've started using some stripped spruce logs to kind of add some texture in here and add a bit more, you know, a little bit more depth in the room. Added some of these trapdoors around here, adding beacons pretty much everywhere, which is at this point, it's just a bit of a weird flex, right? I just got a million beacons, so I was like, you know what? Better to start using them as lighting sources in some places and a little bit of decoration. I've gone ahead and done the same down here as well. You can see I've added some like beams in here and added this around. I think this whole place is looking a lot nicer. It's looking a bit more alive. There's a bit more texture and stuff going on. And yeah, so I think this whole room is looking good. In fact, I've actually made similar changes up here as well. So if we come up to the new library, so quick change, maps are now no longer on the wall over here. They are on the floor instead. The room was looking a little bit imbalanced when I added all this stuff in, and the maps are up here. So the maps are now on the floor, and I actually really prefer them on the floor, if I'm honest. The only issue is obviously going to be when I get to updating it, I'm going to have to break through the floor, which is no big deal, you know. It's all good. And a little bit on this side, I haven't really done anything with like this section here. This is supposed to be like an armor station, and there's supposed to be a weapon station here, but I just haven't really gotten around to it just yet. But it'll be something I'll be getting started on very soon. Also, as for this floor above, which is like kind of my respawn room, I haven't really done anything with it because I don't really have any inspiration of what I want to do on here. So if any of you guys have any suggestions of what I can do, I know like an armor equipping station or an easy equipping station would be a good option, something along those lines. But if you've got anything interesting that you think that could go up here, hit me up in the comment section down below and let me know. But anyway, with all that aside, let's go ahead and pop into the creative test world so I can show you guys what the brown mushroom farm is looking like. So this is the brown mushroom farm / stem farm that I've been working on. So this is a project that's been spanning over a few weeks. The reason why projects usually tend to end up taking me a really long time, even though they're not really too complicated, is usually because I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to redstone. I like to have certain fail safes in order and have certain extra features which aren't generally necessary, but I just like to go ahead and add them, and then they end up taking a lot of time. But I want to give you guys a quick tour of how this thing works. So let's go ahead and head into the entrance of the brown mushroom farm. So before I give you the full tour of how everything works, all the storage area and stuff, let's go ahead and show you how this thing is working. So all you need to do first of all is grab a brown mushroom to start off with. And then we're going to go ahead and stand on this pressure plate, which activates the whole system, allows everything to start running. And actually that allows the TNT duping system to start running as well. This whole thing locks up as soon as you step off the pressure plate. And it also turns off once the storage for the stem farm is actually full. So all you do is you would stand here and you would hold the right click against this wall. Brown mushroom would grow. Oops, that's not supposed to happen. Sorry, you stand a little bit further back. And you can see the mushroom stem was actually pushed downwards. The brown mushroom has been pushed into the section over there. And the brown mushroom will get blown up. That will go into storage. And you basically just stand here and right click. Or you don't even need to right click. You just hold right click down. So what we'll do is we can have a better look at this by spawning a bot in here who's going to do all of our work for us. Okay, so now we're going to let our little Alex buddy here do all the work so we can have a little better look at stuff. So you can see the stems have gone down here. They're being pushed into the system. The brown mushroom is being pushed out into that side. And basically this is a process that's repeated over and over again. And you can see, once again, he's holding down right click and that's working. So let's go have a little look on the outside and see what's happening here. So you can see the brown mushrooms are being pushed into this little chamber. They're going to be pushed continuously and all of the brown mushrooms are going to be destroyed and put into storage. Nothing fancy in terms of storage at the moment, but we're going to deal with that once we actually build this in our world. And as for the stems, you can see they're actually pushed into this little section here. And eventually this whole row will fill up. It'll be sucked in by the sticky pistons, pushed down by these pistons, and then pushed forward by these guys. So just to give you a quick look, what we'll do is we will push time forward just a little bit, just so we can get a better look how things work. So that's going to go ahead and fill up. In the meantime, we can have a look at the brown mushrooms being destroyed. Okay, let me just go ahead and turn the volume down for a sec. So as you can see, the brown mushrooms are destroyed. You don't get 100% return rate. Obviously, a lot of the mushrooms do tend to get stuck, like just as you see there. It's no big deal. We're still always getting a good return of mushrooms. And I've done some calculations, and it turns out that in the time it takes for this whole section to fill up, we end up with 2 double chests of brown mushrooms, which is not bad. It's actually about a double chest an hour of brown mushrooms, or in total this whole system runs for 2 hours. That fills up this whole section of stems, and then that fills up both the double chests with brown mushrooms. And then ideally what's going to happen is that this section here is going to get filled up with the stems. Once it reaches down to the end, the observer will notice that this whole system is full, and actually that will then go ahead and turn the whole thing off. So even if you AFK for 3 hours, you don't need to worry about the dupers running non-stop. You don't need to worry about yourself breaking the system by placing it even though the system is full. The whole thing basically shuts off as soon as this is full. Now you could actually add another TNT duping system at the end here to carry on destroying all of the white stems, so you could run the brown mushroom section as long as you want. But to be honest with you, I didn't see a huge point in that. I was quite happy to have the whole system run to the point where this is full, and then once this is full, I can go ahead, break all the white stems, and then run the whole system again. So we're going to go ahead and forward time to the point once it gets to the end, and I'll see you there. Okay, so we're getting towards the end, so you're going to see this last push of the pistons, and then you'll notice, although the tick warp has stopped as well, and the whole system has now shut off automatically. So you can see from the tag, Alex is still standing on the pressure plate. He's still trying to place the brown mushroom, but because this whole system is full, the whole thing has now turned off, and now basically the whole system is ready for harvesting. So how would we do that? What do we go around this? How do we try and make this efficient as possible? Okay, so let's say you're the player as Alex. You are done with the AFK session. You come back in. You then go ahead and get a efficiency 5 and silk touch axe. It could be diamond or netherite, either way is fine. And then what you would do is you would come up to this door, and you want to harvest basically the first layer here. So you're going to come inside, let the door close behind you, and then ideally here what the plan is to do is you basically clear out this entire middle section. So you can go ahead and clear out all of this, and then once you've cleared out all of the middle section, what you would basically do from this point is just kind of go around like this, and you can go ahead and harvest all of the blocks on top. Okay, so I'm not going to do the whole thing obviously because it's just demonstration. Then the next thing you'd want to do is, once you've cleared off all of these blocks here, is you would go down to this point, go like that, and then again you would just go around harvesting this whole lower section. And then the idea is that once you're done harvesting this whole thing, you would eventually get to this corner point where the observer is. You would then, I'm not going to do it now because it's going to break the system. Okay, so just to show you an example, let's go ahead and get rid of that. Let's say you harvested the whole thing. You got to this corner here. You would break the last mushroom, and then that would basically release the system again for you to use. Now, obviously, Alex is still standing on the pressure plate, which means the system started running again, but at this point, you would have stood off the pressure plate, and the system would still be shut down and be ready for you to use later on. And then, once you're done with this bit, you would just walk out of this door here, into this lovely bubble elevator, and that's it, you're done. You can leave, and you can carry on AFKing again for another couple hours. And as long as you've got bone meal, which we've got a huge supply of here and in my survival world, you should be all good. Now with our example here described to you, obviously if you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave me some details in the comment section. I think the best thing for us to do is to start building this up in survival. The first thing we're going to need to do is to get a big old hole prepared for us for this thing to sit inside of. And I never really started with that. So I was thinking about where I would want to put this, and I was like, should I build this off island somewhere else, or should I build it here? and it's a little bit of an awkward shape, so I was like, should I put it overground or underground? I've also got a bunch of other farms that I'm going to be adding to this island soon, so I thought, you know what, best not to add the system anywhere overground. So we have made ourselves a little bit of space over here. Now, considering that this is the area for the tree farm as well, I thought this would probably be a good area for, like, you know, quote unquote, you know, block farms, I guess. I don't know what I mean by that. But I just thought this would be a good area, so I started digging down and I have started making a little bit of space underneath this area over here, and here we are. Now obviously you can see I've put the schematic here, but this is a nice little area for us to work with. We're going to have this underground in this section. If you have ever seen my little underground section for the tree farm and TNT blast chamber and stuff, I'm going to add this section to that area. So actually, let's go have a quick look for those of you who don't know. So essentially, this is really just the storage slash AFK room for concrete factory and stuff like that. So you've got the storage for all of the blast chamber stuff there. You've got the concrete factory on this side. So actually what we're going to do is we built this relatively close because we're going to have another branch where we're going to be able to access the mushroom farm from here as well. I just thought it's a nice way to add to the network of farms down here. So that's the plan. I do have some other plans for this episode as well, potentially. Maybe I'm thinking we're going to go and work on Subscriber Island. But for now, brown mushroom hold section, begin. Okay, so the giant hole has been dug out and we are now ready for building the mushroom farm. But before we get started here, well, we want to take a little side project on as well, because we love doing some redstone around here. But as part of the lab, which is actually what my place is called, it's called the lab, but also Ethos Lab exists, so you know, I might have to change that. But the reason why I actually originally called it a lab was because it was supposed to be an experimental area for lots of redstone and lots of other things. And one of the things that we wanted to do was, as part of the lab series, is to carry out a humanitarian project. You see, I've already been collecting some animals from around the world, including polar bears, and I plan on collecting a bunch more of them. And as part of collecting a bunch more of them, I want to kind of make a home for some of these guys. So, for example, at the moment we have some polar bears around here, which we have named, and they are friends of our island, but I don't know where they are. Hold on, they're around here somewhere. Let me have a quick look. Oh, there you go. There's one of them right here. So this right here is Boopy the polar bear, and his brothers around here as well somewhere. Right now they're just kind of wandering around the island, and I think it's a little bit unfair. This isn't really their climate. They don't really like it around here so much, and I kind of want to make a nice home for them. Now, in order to make a nice home for them, I'm going to need some ice. And I had a couple options. Obviously I could do ice farm and all that kind of stuff, but I'm not really feeling to make an ice farm just yet. We're already farming mushrooms today, which is already a weird enough farm as it is. So we're going to ignore doing an ice farm or anything like that. I just want to focus on building a little home for them. So here's the plan. There's a nice spikes biome right around the corner, kind of where I got these guys from in the first place. We're going to go and destroy their original home and make a nice new one somewhere around here. I'm thinking either in this little water area over here, or maybe in this little section. This section's probably the best for them, but I don't know yet. I think the first thing to do, go and grab a bunch of ice, and let's start getting something. Let's get a little idea built out for him at least, right? Okay, awesome. I've gone and raided a bit of an ice bikes biome, which was again just a little bit further up that way, and I've gone ahead and gathered myself a few packed ices, which is obviously the easiest to harvest. A little bit of ice, which is going to make up kind of like the first layer at the bottom over here, kind of like where it forms. And then there was a little bit of blue ice hanging around. I didn't know you could actually just get blue ice from ice spikes biome. I didn't know they kind of generated. However, it does seem they kind of generate quite low underneath the water, which makes them pretty annoying to kind of harvest. So yeah, only got 40 of those, but we're probably going to have to turn an entire shulker box of this into some blue ice, because we want like a bit of a, you know, a mix of a palette on this as well, right? We don't want just ice, packed ice, sorry. We don't want just ice. We don't want just blue ice. We're even going to add some snow blocks in here as well. So we're going to quickly go and meet my friend, which I don't know if you guys have seen before. Got a little friend up here, Dr. Snow. And oh, he's dead. Okay, Dr. Snow is dead in that case. Yeah. That's a bit sad. Dr. Snow used to live here and it seems like he died, so we're gonna have to regenerate him again. And ideally we're just gonna want a few blocks of snow, which we might actually have anyway. So I may or may not disturb Dr. Snow or recreate him up there. But yeah, so here's what we're gonna do. We're going to create a bit of a layering system here. So we're going to start off with a little bit of the normal ice, chuck in a few pieces of packed ice here and there as well. And let's see if we can start getting a single layer built up first. And then I think from there you can kind of build upwards into more of an ice cave and stuff. And I think it'll make a little bit more sense once we layer something down over here. So let's go ahead and pop some of that down first. Our little transformation is done. Obviously, keep in mind, guys, it looks a bit boring, a little bit empty, but we've got some stuff to do here. We're gonna make it look cool. We're gonna add some extra bits in here, and actually this little side mission is gonna even verge me off into another side mission, which we'll get into in a second. But the first thing I wanted to cover was, well, I was building this at night and realized that if you look on my F3 screen, this is not a Mushroom Island. So as you can imagine, this whole thing was completely covered with mobs. Now, I was thinking of what I wanted to do here, so I was like, okay, there's some options, right? I can obviously light the place up, but unfortunately, if you get too close to the normal ice and the light levels are too high, then the ice starts to melt. So I can either just leave the minimal amount of normal ice that we've got around the corners and just have it kind of how it is kind of fading in at the moment. I could go ahead and get some more ice, put it in, and then just maybe add some snow layers here and there to prevent it. But to be honest with you, I don't know how I'm feeling about just using snow layers just to prevent the mob spawning. So the thing is that it shouldn't be a huge problem, right? Because we're probably going to edge off most of this area where it's only enterable through a door or something, or like kind of flying into here. But the other option is to probably just go ahead and light it up, right? I don't want any nasty surprises where I'm working kind of in the general area and then get blown up by a freaking creeper. I am not interested in that happening. So I'm thinking maybe best thing to do here, we're going to try and introduce some light around here. Now, I haven't tested this theory out yet, but I think something that I might have in mind might work to light it up and also keep things looking a little bit discreet. You're probably already figured out what it is that I wanted to do. So let's quickly grab some stuff. I don't know why I'm being so ominous about it. I basically want to put down some glowstone and then add some like a snow layer on top and see if the light still comes through. So let me see. I have some snow layers here. Let's run a quick test and see if that works. So the thing is, with normal ice, or packed ice should I say, we don't have to worry so much about the melting situation because it doesn't actually happen with normal ice, or packed ice should I say. So let's do that and do, oh, okay, didn't work how I was hoping it would. That kind of sucks if I'm honest. Oh, that's pretty crappy. So I was hoping that it would do, but obviously light level here is still pretty much 0. I'll need to think of another option in that case. I mean, I don't really just want to leave glowstone around. Although it doesn't look too bad in the ice spike biomes, it kind of looks like it may or may not go with it. But no, I'm not really too interested in that. So I'm thinking maybe there's a better way to do this. I mean, one of the alternatives would be to use carpet, but I don't really want to use carpet right now. Not the most ideal thing to do. So yeah, let's see how this goes. Also, this is not going to be a mob farm right now. So luckily I'm geared up for it. The main problem here is pretty much just creepers because last time they blew 2 holes in here after all my hard work. All right, let's get up here, go to sleep, and let me think of solution number 2 if we can. Okay, I've had a thought. It seems like the only real way around this is to use white carpet, which isn't going to look the best. But let's be honest, it's probably going to be the best way around all of this. Also, I realized quite disappointingly that you can't put snow down on ice layers, so I'm gonna have to replace it with something else anyway, which is kind of annoying. However, side note, I did realize that once you place snow down on something, apparently it turns into a snow block, which is good news, I guess. I mean, it looks good, it makes things kind of fade in better, although I can see there's some non-snow versions there as well. So I don't know if it's kind of like part-time and then it kind of fades away. I don't know, but I think that looks cool. That's going to really help blend the biome in a little bit better, having the snow. I'm going to chuck some ice blocks around here and there as well, just to make things look a little bit cleaner. Oops, that's not an ice block. Ooh, did that just melt? Is that supposed to melt? Wait, hold on. Yeah, so I might use some ice blocks here and there just to kind of add some layers, but obviously I'm going to have to use blue ice, which is kind of frustrating because I do want the layers to kind of sit on top of there as well. So I'm going to have to flex with some blue ice here and there. No big deal, but, you know, it means we're probably going to have to do a little bit more harvesting for ice because I've got some. But if I'm going to need a bunch more blue ice, plus I'm still going to need to make the you know, the ice caves and stuff for the polar bears. You know, we still got a little bit of work to do here and there, but no big deal. So enough of this little ice project for now. I've got a whole bunch of other stuff that I really want to get into, but unfortunately this episode's already getting kind of long. So we're going to go back into the whole mushroom situation. Let's get things started at least. And yeah, I've got some plans that involve this nether portal and those boats that are going to contribute to this little ice area here. But we'll save that one for the next episode. Let's jump into the build of this mushroom farm. Oh my god. Was this a difficult farm to build? You better believe it. This thing has taken me way too long, and the main reason for that isn't because of its complication, it isn't because of its size, it's mainly just because it's awkward. And when you make a giant hole that doesn't really, you know, look at all this empty space down there, this weird empty spaces over there. I definitely didn't need to make a giant hole of this size for no reason. But really, when you make this much space, it really just makes things a whole lot worse because you're just kind of like jumping around and trying to figure things out. And if I've learned one lesson from this, it's not to go by the size of the schematic when you're making the hole out. It's probably just to try and figure out what kind of spaces you need for the platforms and where things are going to go. Because if you think about all of this wasted space down here, like obviously this section here needed some space, which I'm still finishing up. You'll see in a little while. And the same goes for here. If you guys are wondering, by the way, I'm just running around in free cam. But if you have a look, even with the space over here, there's so much empty space that didn't need to be filled out. And this actually just made it way more difficult to build in. But there is actually one really good bit of news from this, which is that by the looks of things, everything is working perfectly well. Now, I haven't run enough of a test to let the stems go into this section here and let it go into this little piston feed tape here. But I don't think we're going to have an issue. I think that should be totally fine. And everything else on this side seems to be working perfectly well. The mushroom blocks are going into the right section. TNT blast chamber seems to be working all good. And the piston pushers are working all fine. So everything seems to be really good. All the fail safes I've put in are working good. So the automatic shut off of the TNT dupers working fine. And overall, I'm really, really happy with this design. Unfortunately, in the process of making this, as I'm such I'm a word that I can't use during this Let's Play series, but I'm a pretty big dum-dum, if that's the best way, if the only word I can use. And that was because when I was setting up this machine here, I had a couple shulker boxes in the way. And, well, with this machine pushed off, I didn't realize there were shulker boxes in the way. The shulker boxes got broken, pushed onto the floor, and unfortunately I lost a shulker box full of slime, honey, and scaffolding. The scaffolding is whatever, so is the slime. But I lost like 5 or 6 stacks of honey, which is unfortunate because I don't have an amazing honey farm. And also I lost an entire box of redstone. As you can see here, this is redstone box number 2. And RIP to redstone box number 1. It is no longer with us anymore. No big deal. I've obviously got enough resources, but now I need to craft everything up again. And it's going to be a little bit annoying. But we got everything working here. You can see I'll place my mushroom. Mushroom is grown. That gets pushed to the side. piston pushers are working to go downwards. You didn't really see it, but it disappeared. This is pushing inwards, goes into the TNT blast chamber, and everything is working really, really well here. I could not be more happy at this point, because honestly, this was it became a really frustrating build to eventually end up with. But now that everything's working, I'm really, really happy. All I need to do now is really, the only thing left is to set up a collection section for all of the brown mushrooms. So I'm going to have all the brown mushroom actually end up in a centralized collection, maybe somewhere in this room, or somewhere near where the harvesting for the stems are going to work out. I haven't decided yet, but I can deal with that. That's no big deal. That's not like an immediate thing for me to think about. But at the moment, this is all looking good. I'm really, really happy with this final build. And yeah, I can finally get this place decorated, so I'll probably save that for the next episode. Get this place decorated, have it looking really nice, and I think yeah, we're one more step closer to our super brewing task. I don't know really what I'm gonna work on the next episode, but I'm gonna figure it out. And in the meantime, I'm gonna leave you guys, and I will say an adios. Thank you very much for watching. Do the usual, like, subscribe, share it with your friends, tell your grandma about it, whatever makes you happy. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye!